Okay, we're live. Hello, hello, and welcome to Ideal Customer Profile, our latest launch. This is actually our last launch of 2020. Can you believe it?
Oh, it
What
can't
a
be.
year. What a year. I know, it's been a crazy one. And so we're ending with one that's on a topic that is so essential for every single business owner. I mean, this is, if you haven't thought about who your ideal customer is, but uh, in in terms way beyond the whole demographics and even psychographic stuff, then you're really doing yourself a disservice, and everything is going to be such a struggle all the time in your business. But when you have that defined, and it can be painful to do and time consuming even, but it is so worth it. Even just doing it, the initial steps, and then gradually going deeper and deeper, because it does change over time and you learn more and more each time. And the course we just released is one that we cover a little bit in a lot of different courses. We always say, define your target market, because it's important. But we haven't done before a separate course that really goes in depth. So this is going to be a standalone one that you can add on to pretty much any course, right? And Sarah, who's here, has already seen it and grabbed it and done something with the early bird bonus, but I'm not going to let her show it yet. Don't show it. Don't show it.
You're a sneak peek.
You have to hang on. You have to wait till we talk about the topic of the course itself before you get to see that. All right. So I think I called this, have you talked to your ICP lately? So just to clear the boards from the start, ICP stands for Ideal Customer Profile. You can also, as always with everything in our courses, you can customize and call it Ideal Client Profile, or even Ideal Student Profile, or whatever you call your customers. And of course, you can teach this course, our new course, so that you can help your customers do the same thing. All right, so I'm talking a lot today about what you have to do, but it's really the course and what you would teach. So I suggest you get the course, go through it yourself, really go through the exercises, activities of identifying your ideal customer, client, student, whatever it is who you're targeting, and then you'll be ready to teach it yourself. All right, so I'm going to dive into that. But Sarah, do you have any words that you want to add before I start sharing my screen and stuff?
I was just going to say that this is something that you should absolutely teach for every single program that you do. Either put it as a bonus, give it as a graduation gift, but it's absolutely something that every single person that comes through for any one of your courses needs to know. And without this information, everything that they do just falls flat on its face. One of the things that I'm frequently told is that your ideal customer is you, as in yourself, 5 years ago. Now, if you use that kind of thing, technology 5 years ago was different, so that ain't going to be the same. You were different, so that isn't going to be the same. And all of the things that you're trying to teach yourself 5 years ago fall flat on its backside because it's not a proper avatar. Because where you were 5 years ago, you weren't in the space to buy. Because if you were, you would have bought it and you wouldn't be dealing with you 5 years ago. So if any of you are in that school of thought that ideal customers are yourself 5 years ago, then what we're going to share with you is completely going to change your mind. You're going to be converted to the light side, and you're really going to accelerate your own growth. Good night, Omar. Thanks for dropping in.
Yeah, and also you're not always the same as your ideal customer. Some people do work with people who were the same or are the same as you, have the same sort of values and look the same, but many people don't also. And I mentioned that it's much more than demographics and psychographics, and that's another thing that people sometimes get wrong. And we've already had this come up once in our challenge community, Or someone said they're having a tough time because everybody's different, because they're men and women and different locations and different ages. But there are other things in your ideal customer that will be common. So it isn't always about, okay, I'm working with women ages, 32 to 36 or something narrow like that. It can be men and women, but they have the same values or the same challenges and the same behaviors. So don't get tied into that when you often see people lay out their ideal customer. You're not going to be able to answer every single question. So you're going to see as I go through that there are a lot of questions that you can answer or try to answer. You won't be able to answer all of them, but they're going to give you that fuller picture. And as Sarah said, it changes over time. All right. So you ready to jump in? Remember, you can also ask questions as you go. Just, whoops, it's a little ticker. You don't want to see that. That's my little StreamYard ticker. So if you have questions, put them in the comments below. The URL for the program is right there, contentsparks.com/ideal customer profile. So hopefully that's obvious and memorable for our pretty link. But now I'm just going to head over. I'm going to hide that and I'm going to share my screen. This is just the sales page. That's that banner I was just showing you, contentsparks.com/ideal customer profile. So you can head there when you're ready and take a look. There's lots of descriptions in here about why, about the roadmap, the different modules in the course. So I'm going to open up that roadmap first. And here, let's make it full screen so that you can see better. Let's find this here. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Yes? Okay, so this is your roadmap through the course and what you take your own students through at a very high level. So you'll look at your primary target audience, and just to make a note there, this is not a course for picking your niche, your target niche, and your whole business idea. You should already have that, and we have other courses on picking a niche. This is where you look at, you can be brand new, but you're looking at really refining it in here. So you can be brand new and have an idea of who you want to serve and what your product or service is, but then you're going to actually go through and refine that, and you're going to gather all the details. We call it a 5D, so 5-dimensional ideal customer profile. We're going to go through gathering the facts, feeling their pain, exploring their wants, discovering what matters most to them, uncovering their objections, and then you go and review your data. You put it all together, validate your answers, analyze it, and refine that ICP, the ideal customer profile. And I'll show you some of the things you get for helping to do that. And then at the end, you look at what to do with your new ICP. And I'll just show you a graphic on that. Actually, first, let me show you. This is an overview infographic. All this stuff comes in the course, by the way, but this just shows more the lessons that you're going to cover. So I said you look at your primary target audience and who you want to serve, who you don't want to serve, what your primary product or service is. You've got the different lessons in that second module that go through your 5 dimensions. Then you're putting it all together, the validation, analyzing your data, what to do, and going through some final things like monitoring your ICP and meeting your customer needs. And I'm just going to skip to this module, what to do with your new ICP, so you can see exactly how this fits in. And you can see all these, right, Sarah?
Yep.
Okay. So I talked in, I think, my launch email about how it makes your business and marketing decisions easier. And it says that on the sales page as well. But these are just some of the areas, some of the main areas where you're going to use that ideal customer profile. So all the decisions you do, all the content you create, all the interactions you have, you're going to have that ICP in mind. So building your community, when you're attracting to new leads, anything you create for them, any emails you write, in your branding, when you think about colors, or graphics or anything like that, words that you use, you're thinking about your ICP. Content creation on its own, blog posts and videos and anything like that, the words that you use, you're always doing that. And sales and marketing, the words, the language, the copy you write, again, you're thinking about your ICP. What language do they use? And I'm not talking about Spanish versus Dutch or something else. I'm talking about simple words like clients and customers, whether it's casual, whether they use slang or colloquialisms, things like that, their pains and challenges. So most people, when they think about their ICP, they're thinking about the sales and marketing, but it's all these other things too, the onboarding even. And you may not have thought about it this way, but you have to have that ideal customer in mind when you're hiring people and onboarding them. You want them to understand who your ICP is. You want to hire people who are going to be a good fit with your ICP. All those things are important. Did I miss anything, Sarah?
No, but what I will say is lots of people get stuck in the content creation phase, as in they don't know what to write, they don't know what to say, and all of that. And the moment you are crystal clear on your ICP, you know exactly what to say. Right, so for example, our ICP for Content Sparks is somebody over the age of 30, perhaps they've got family and children, they're looking to build an online course school. They're not just looking for one because they want to make this their entire business with the courses. So they're going to need several. We know they're over 30, we know they've probably got children, we know that they watch The Good Wife, they love Alicia, how she's had that comeback. So when we know this information, we can write our blog post to that person and we can say, you've just come home from work and you're sitting there thinking, gosh, you wish your side hustle of an online course school would take off because you are sick of stepping over socks and working through The Good Wife as it's on and everyone's sitting watching it and you're still doing housework and other bits and pieces because you just don't seem to have enough hours in the day. And I can just rattle that example off with absolutely no notice because we know our ICP. And we can turn that story into any kind of content, any kind of blog post, any kind of infographic, any kind of video, any kind of off the cuff thing, because we know the ICP. If we don't know that, we get hesitant, and it shows throughout all of our content that we're not truly confident. So if you can teach this to yourself, you're going to be brilliant. And if you can teach it to others as well, you're going to really make a name for yourself. So this is really, really powerful things because it's not just the content creation, it's the sales and marketing for the language for the sales page. As Sharon's mentioned, it's the onboarding of the new team members, it's the community, it's the attracting leads, it's the branding. It flows through everything. It's like that thing in Star Wars, what do they call it? The Force. That's it. It flows through it all.
And then there's a dark side of the Force, which we're not going to go into. But it does make everything so much easier. I had this earlier on with my business where I was trying to appeal to everyone who might possibly want my content. And every time I narrowed that down, it made it easier. It made it easier to talk to people, to customize our products, to create new products, listening not just to the things they requested, but thinking about what you might need. And I don't always get it right. And when I get it wrong, it's usually because I haven't really been thinking about my ICP, or I need to find out more and talk to them more. So this is not something you're just going to do once either. You're going to always be thinking about it. In fact, some people do it once a year. They keep revisiting. As your business grows and you learn more, you can do it every year. And it gets easier each time because the more you talk to people, like I said, the more you learn. So let me just go into the actual materials. So let's see, what shall we look at first?
Course book, have you got that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to pull up, and I'll make this full screen. You're not going to be able to read this all. Sorry, you have to actually get it to be able to read it all. but I can at least walk through it so that you can see that it's very meaty. So even like I said, we cover this kind of thing a little bit in various courses at a high level, like one module. This is not a repeat of that content. This is in line with it, but it's in much more detail, and we have it broken up among those 5 dimensions I was talking about. So in the very beginning, you look at who you want to serve, who you don't want to serve. Again, you're not picking your idea for your business here. You have that. You're digging down into who your ideal customer is. And then you start building that profile. Those are those 5 dimensions I talked about: gathering the facts, feeling their pain. I think I have, do I have that somewhere? No, I don't have that open. I'll show you that again in a bit. So there's the 5 dimensions: facts, pain, wants, what matters most, objections, and then there's reviewing your data. So you won't necessarily have all this information right away, but you can start to build your ICP going by your own instincts also. So I know I say talk to people, do research, all of that, but you can start with your own instincts and start in other ways as well, even if you don't have customers yet. So there's the usual demographics, psychographics, and also behavioral characteristics. That's gathering the facts. Demographics are things like age and gender. Are you a homeowner? How many people are in your household? The basic stuff you always hear about. Psychographics you hear about, we talk about a lot. Personality, attitude, values. And I'll just point out there's some overlap in these 5 dimensions. That's normal. You're always going to have some overlap, just like you would with anything else and with any course. But hobbies, lifestyle, general behavior, all this stuff you're filling in. You build it as you go. Now, one point here, we have an example in there that we build as we go. When you customize this course for your own audience, your own students, go in and change this if you need to make it relevant to them. Okay, so this example is single, but Sarah, if you were working with moms, you might want to make this example something that's more related to moms so that people see themselves in the example in the course, and that way they're going to understand it better when you're teaching it. There's also a whole bunch of questions in here, and what we've done is there are questions that you can think about for answering and describing the demographics and psychographics, and then we give you handouts and things in the action guide where you fill it in. And in the expansion pack, which is an add-on you can get if you want, we go even further with more tools that you can use for answering these questions. And I'll show you that once I've gone through this major stuff, okay?
Can I just say, all of the information that Sharon has got here for you in this one, this is everything you can use in when you're creating a blog post or you're talking on a live stream. And you can say, hey, did you catch that episode of whatever it is that they're all watching? And they, yeah, she really knows us, you know, and you can sit there and you can say, just watched Mulan with my kids. What did you think? How did it compare to the Disney version? And it's only because you know what they like in answering those questions that you can start to build the rapport with them. And this is really powerful stuff here, particularly if you teach your clients how to do it.
Yep. And you see the behavioral characteristics are also going to help you with things like marketing. So what do they use social media for? Where are they shopping? Stuff like that. So those are all the fact-based things that you're going to gather. And like I said, there's tons of questions in here that you can give people or that you can use for creating your ICP. Then the second dimension is feeling their pain. You've heard some of this before, things like challenges, what keeps you up at night, biggest frustration. So again, there's questions in here that you can ask yourself, ask your customers or people who you think would be your customers, and gather that information. Their wants, that's things like their dreams. What would your life be like if you could beat and overcome the challenge that you had? What inspired you to do XYZ? Visions that you have, dreams. So there's a whole bunch of questions there. Then there's what matters most. So there's going to be a little overlap with what matters most and dreams and stuff, but this is things like your core values, how you view the world, what you believe in, all of that. Bunch of questions there. And then the last dimension of these 5 dimensions is uncovering people's objections. And this you're going to need in your sales copy, but also any kind of discussions you have and understanding where people are coming from with your customers and things that you can anticipate and deal with. So questions like, what currently stops you from getting what you want? What's your number one obstacle to business growth? So a question like that, again, you're gonna edit these based on who your students are, but use it for yourself first. Then go through and you're gonna edit the questions. So business growth may not be something relevant to your students at all. It might be something else. How much better is your product or service than your competitors? Again, that's if you're working with businesses. If you're working with consumers, that's going to be different. So go in and make sure you edit this. Then you have them review their data, and we have this spreadsheet for putting everything together, which I'll also show you in a sec. You have them put everything together, validate answers by doing things like calling people, creating a survey, other places you can research, especially if you don't have that information, like you don't have customers already who you can talk to. And competitive research is another area you don't often hear about when creating your ICP. And that's where you can look at your nearest competitors, especially if you don't have customers yet. This is a really good way to get ideas too. Look at your nearest competitors who have similar customers, and you can get some information there about them. Then they're going to analyze the data, refine it, put together a snapshot. So you have a summary always in front of you. And then I showed you this graphic before. These are the different areas. And that was this graphic, the different areas where you can use your ICP. So you're going to have your students look at where they would use it first. So where it's most important and how they can use it in each of these areas. So that is the course book. Yes, there's a final action planning as always, what you learned and where you're going to go next. And now I can show you some of the tools and handouts and stuff, because I know that you are anxious to get a look at those. So let's see. What do you want to see first?
Let's look at the graphics.
Okay.
Every time I undo the graphics, I always get excited. What's in it? And
you mean the individual ones from the course book?
Yes, those are good.
So there are these ones. So you're going to see these throughout the course book, and we also give them in a separate file. So for instance, this one that I was showing you before, this is on a slide. It's in the course book. It's also in a separate graphic. So you can see how I'm using it differently than you might in the course book. I'm actually describing it, and you could just pull out several. In fact, you could pull out several of these just to use in a webinar or a live stream to introduce your course that's coming up, or when you're putting together a lead magnet. So you can get people excited by your course just by showing them a few of the graphics from that folder. So this is the folder. I know this is kind of hard to see on here. Let me make it bigger. So you can kind of see that there's a folder you'll get that has all the individual graphics. They're all in PowerPoint, so you can edit them, change the colors, all that stuff. So those are easy if you ever want to create your own too, right? They're all in Smart Art. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to skip ahead and go to the expansion pack, because I know you want to see that too. Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, I know what I was going to show. Well, here, I'll show you one thing before I show the expansion pack, and that's this spreadsheet I mentioned. So this is something that goes with the action guide, where you'll have people record their initial thoughts and trends and stuff like that. And it's in a spreadsheet because it's much easier to just add things in there. But if you want to take it to another level and give people more room, or something that's a little more visual, we have this expansion pack that's an add-on. So always with these expansion packs, the way they work is you have the core course and you have everything you need in there to teach. But then the expansion pack is just additional things that you can use with the course. So bonuses that add value or that your particular students will enjoy, but you could also use some of them as lead magnets. So this is one case where there's quite a few that you can use. So there's a questionnaire, and I don't think I opened this, so let me open this up. So what the questionnaire does is it takes a lot of those questions I showed you in the course book and it puts them in a form that you can use to actually interview people. So there's a first section that you would fill in yourself about your ICP, and then you can use all those. They're repurposed basically to do questions, conversations with people, surveys, whatever it is, however you want to use it. And again, just customize it. So you've got that, get the facts, all the questions are there, psychographics, various questions. This is 35 pages, so you're not going to ask people all the questions, but you can have good conversations with people around these. It's always good to have more questions than less when you're going to do any kind of interview or conversation with people, because if they don't answer a lot, even if they're open-ended questions, you want to keep that conversation going. You might only ask one question and get enough information from that when you're talking to people. Like, what's your biggest challenge? Somebody might just say, oh, getting leads. Or they might go into a whole big, long discussion of why they're having trouble getting leads and what they've done in the past and where they're planning to go and all the things that stop them. So you can get a lot of answers just from one. But you have the questions there, and that's in this questionnaire in the expansion pack. And then,
if I can,
sure, go ahead.
When you're doing this for yourself, if you can record the interviews,
Yes.
do so. You will need permission, particularly in Europe, because there's two-party consent required. But often you're so busy with asking the questions, you don't fully digest all of the answers that are coming back at you. So if you can record it, you can get it transcribed, or you can sit back and listen to it, and it's there. You pick up the nuances in the language, and you hear the little inflections in somebody's voice, and they say, yeah, that's okay, but their tone doesn't match what they're saying. And you only get that when you record and listen back to it. And that gives you so much valuable insight. Now, obviously, somebody may not want you sharing this information, but the purpose of it is to collect the data to make one profile, not to turn one interview into a profile.
Exactly. So
Language, yeah, and all the little bits of information is worth its weight in gold.
and what having it transcribed, of course, is going to help. What do you use again for transcription?
Happy Scribe I use at the moment, but there's also otter.ai where you can get 600 minutes for free. So if you interview 10 people at 60 minutes, all of your transcriptions would be covered by Otter AI and be free. There's rev.com, which is $1 a minute. So you might want to keep your interview short there. But there's lots of transcribing tools, and some people even have Word open because Word has a voice recognition aspect. I've never tried this myself, but if it works for you and it gets you the gist of the conversation, then it's worth doing.
Google Docs actually works quite well too. The voice to text on Google Docs. It could be a bit of a mess, I would think, to read through afterwards, but it does a pretty good job. So you could try it.
The other thing with the transcriptions is you can do the find. So if you've got all the documents open and somebody says something like spam, you can go into the other documents and do a search for spam to see if they mention it. And if it's not mentioned by all 10 documents, then it's not an issue across the board, just an issue for one person. So
that's
it's
cool.
powerful stuff.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. All right. So again, in the expansion pack, we have the questionnaire. So that takes all the questions from the main course, repurposes them to something that you can ask other people, because if you don't have the option to interview people right away, then you're not necessarily going to do that. You can look for information elsewhere, go by your instincts initially, just initially. At some point, you are going to want to talk to people. Absolutely. So that is that. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is this builder. So this takes all those dimensions. This is one of those printables like we did with Next Level Web Content, and I think one other as well, where we give you the PowerPoint that you can edit and a cover, and you can brand it and put it on Amazon KDP as something that's printable. You can't do it on Kindle because they don't allow anything that's private label rights, but you can make it a printed book. So I'll just give you a quick peek at that. Here, it's in a PDF. I'll show that to you. That'll be easier. I hope you can't hear the garbage men outside. They're pretty loud.
Can't hear a thing here.
Excellent. Good. It's my new mic. This Go mic is excellent. Okay, so there's instructions at the beginning. You create a title page. You add in information about you. So again, this is something that's going to be printed as a physical book on Amazon. You could, of course, print it and give it to people too. And it's a great bonus for the course, kind of swag that you could send to your students, or also something for sale. And you're going to put a link to your sales page in the book so that people are actually from Amazon sent over to your course. So you can see it follows those 5 dimensions, but you start with your upfront stuff. It really follows the course and is a place to record your answers. So there's instructions for each thing, and there's places to put your answers to all those questions. So this is another way the questions are being used. All those questions in the course book, we've repurposed into that questionnaire in the expansion pack, this particular builder, and then I'll show you how that spreadsheet has been repurposed too for the expansion pack.
How many pages builder, Sharon?
The builder should show me somewhere. Well, are there numbers on the pages? Because that would be helpful. Why isn't it showing me?
It might be in the PowerPoint. It'll tell you how many slides.
Yeah, it'll say it in the PowerPoint. Let me open up the PowerPoint.
Sorry, I was just trying to imagine in my head what size booklet.
Oh, here. Sorry, it says it at the top here. 69 pages, including
so that's
the cover.
A nice sized book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And at the very end, after you've recorded information, you do that high level snapshot. So you'll get a snapshot with the action guide and handouts in the course, but here we've repurposed it a couple ways. We've added it into the builder, so they have everything in one place here that you make as your printed book in Amazon. There's that final thing of how they're going to use the ICP, and then next steps. And at the very end, you're going to want to put more information about you and your course and a link, hyperlink as well. That is the builder. I wanted to show you. Okay, so there's also the snapshot. It's just a 2-page thing in the course, but here we've made it a little longer as another thing that can be a printed piece of material, a PDF that you can give people, so that is easier to add your branding to, because we put it into PowerPoint. So you get this in various formats, and this is handy too. Then the guided journal. So I started showing you that spreadsheet. This is from the main course. In with the action guide, they get a spreadsheet where you can fill in all your research as you go through the course. Initial thoughts, you look at trends, you verify, validate your information, have conversations, do more research, and look at competitors. And then in that expansion pack, this is actually created in Canva, and we give you the Canva template, so it's easy to change the colors. I have just the PDF open to make it easier to show you. And this follows along. You'll do the same sort of thing where you add a picture of yourself and a little information about you, so it's an About Me page. and there's some instructions, and then it follows the same stuff as the spreadsheet, but a place that where they can print it and write it down. And people just love these guided journals. I mean, Sarah, you know, that's so popular. You do tons of them on Kindle, don't you? Or printed
I've got
ones.
about 1,100 over there at the moment.
What?
Oh yeah, I've got 1,100 over there at the moment. But yes, the guided journals where people ask the question and then have the space to write what comes into their head, almost like a brain dump, is a really powerful thing, particularly in business, because quite often when somebody does a course or a training, they come out and their brain is whirling and all of the information, and it all just seems so much. So if you give them a journal, they can then start putting out all of the things that are whirling around their brains. So you're giving them a really powerful tool here in the form of a guided journal, where they can actually not have the whirling brain keeping them up all night. It doesn't seem so overwhelming because they've got a place to put all of their thoughts. It's a really nice addition to the content that we've got from Content Spark. So I was really delighted to hear.
Yeah, we're losing you because you're so excited.
Yes, I've got to go and run around the room with excitement now.
So that, again, that guided journal and everything else is not in the main course, it's in the expansion pack. So you have all this other stuff in the main course. I can show you what'll happen is when you add it to the cart, you'll get to a page that has all sorts of suggested add-ons. One of those is this expansion pack. So I was just showing you the guided journal. I showed you the questionnaire. I think I closed that already. The builder as well. I showed you guided journal, and there are also some social media images. There's a bonus. I'll show you the early bird bonus in a sec, but since I have this open, I'll just show you the expansion bonus too. So if you get the main course and that expansion pack, you're going to get this Trello board. And people have just been loving these Trello boards because it's the action guide, but in a very visual, interactive way. So this is something you would add onto the course itself. I would not do this as a lead magnet because it really does follow. At least that's my personal opinion, because it has what?
I totally agree. It's something that really adds value to your course. And, you know, you've got the activity where they check them off. You don't want to be giving this as a lead magnet. This should be part of the paid products.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's free. You sign up for free for Trello. You make a copy of this, add your branding, and then you can share that as a template with your students. So wait until you have the students, brand it all as your copy, and then share the template with them, and they can they can do their own customization to it, and they'll get activities to check off. So all the action steps are in here. And you can change this image right inside. You can change these header images. These are created in Canva, and we give you the template for that as well so that you can make them your own. So that is the expansion bonus. Again, that's if you get the main course and the expansion pack. Which brings me to the early bird bonus, which I know you've been waiting to show. And that, I'll go back to the main course. So main course, right? Our launch price ends Wednesday, the 23rd, so the day before Christmas Eve. And there should be listed here, the early bird bonus. And this is a 3D avatar. So I know I said there's 5 dimensions we go through, but this is the actual 3D one. And this is in PowerPoint, right? And it's a cutout. So there are some instructions on how to do it. You're going to add your own branding here and any colors and stuff. Delete this little sentence which tells you to do that. And then you're going to print this out and to create your own ideal customer avatar. And for your students, you are going to save this as a PDF and give it to them so they can cut it out and create their avatar. So there's a top, middle, and bottom. There's a key in here which shows where you're going to write stuff. And don't worry, you're going to see what it looks like in just a second. Sarah, hang on, don't show anything yet. And it says what top, middle, bottom is. So this must be the bottom, and then there's the middle, and then there's the top. And what's easiest is to write the different things across. So you've got needs, wants, desire. You're going to put a little picture, and you've got this. You've changed the colors to your branding. That can be as simple as going into design. And if you have your colors saved already, you can just put it in and they'll automatically change everywhere. Otherwise, you can just go in and change them manually too. The easiest thing is always to create your own custom colors, custom color scheme in PowerPoint. I put my logo in here. You would put just right now, it doesn't come with my logo in it. It'll come with nothing, but I just wanted to show you that you should put your logo in there somewhere. I put it in at the bottom because this is going to be the bottom of the avatar. So now, without further ado, Sarah, you want to show what yours looks like?
Okay, so here's the bottom.
Wait, let me make you solo layout there. Okay.
Upside down. So here's our bottom one. Now this is actually 2 weeks old, our one, so it's not as perfect looking as what yours is going to be. But we wanted to see how long it would last, and 2 weeks, it's doing very well. And here is our middle one. You can see that's middle, and around the edges. I
can't really read it, but I believe you.
Then we have our last one, our little head one. And look who we put in it. So they all stack up really nicely, like so. And if you have glue, you can glue them together or tape them together. It doesn't actually take that much desk space up because I've had this on my desk for the last 2 weeks, and I actually talked to it. I said, Cheryl, what are we going to do today? But we'll save that for another call.
That's pretty scary, actually.
I thought it would be really irritating. It's straight in front of my monitor to the left, and I've got my monitor on a keyboard riser, so my keyboard is underneath it, and I see it, and I can see the little things that I've scrawled on the middle and bottom section. So it really does work, and believe it or not, it's really easy to fit together. I had one of my daughters in the office as we were putting it together, and I handed over this and I said, print that out on some card and put it together for me. I didn't give her any other instructions other than print it and put it together, and she could do that. It took around 20 to 25 minutes to cut out because she was being really careful because it was mummy's work. But I think if you've got somebody who's confident on the scissors and not worried about it being mummy's work, then it will be much faster. And it really is nice to have it right in front of me on my desk. And I would say, if you can stick your logo on the very top one where the peach square is on the very last, the smallest box, people will see that when they have it on their desk, because I'm looking at Sharon's face, I can see a heart, and I can see on the top of it. So you can have the logo of your business on top of it. And it really is quite inspiring just to sit and look at it. Yesterday, when I was doing some stuff for a particular client, I've got another one printed up for them, and to write that blog post was much easier than it normally is, because normally I have to sit down and think about it. But having the 3D version in front of me, it meant I could just switch from one client to the next with ease. And sometimes these little things have really hidden gems in them. You don't realize at the time what it's going to bring to you. So I would say go and do this for yourself. even if you never give it to anybody in your training, but you do it for yourself, it's a really good thing just to have that visual representation on your desk.
Yep. And if you have more than one ideal customer, then you can just have, like, you have the several different ones on your desk. Or if you have a mix, I'm always a little resistant to put that photo on because my customers are a mix of men and women and different backgrounds and stuff, but they have other commonalities. So the other things might be the same, but you could have different sides. What?
You can have photos on different sides, so you can turn it around to see which one you want to talk to.
Right. Yep.
You don't need just one. You can have like multiple heads on it. Oh, we're getting really detailed with it.
Keep turning it.
Yeah, not talking to you today. Next. No, I'll have to pay off.
Yep, because they all have the similar other aspects of those 5 dimensions, but they might look differently in person. So yeah, that's everything. It's pretty quiet here today. I think everybody's busy. So I think we're gonna finish up early. I want to just show again that, let's see, let's show one of these again. Again, this is the roadmap through the course, right? So you've got all those different 5 dimensions that you're going to put together and use everywhere. And this was the look at where you're going to use your ICP, because it's used everywhere in your business. And I cannot emphasize enough how important this is, because all these things become easier when you have that detailed ICP. The community, lead generation, branding, content, sales and marketing, onboarding, all that stuff is going to be essential. Before I did an ICP, everything was always kind of bland and boring, and I'm still always refining it, but it does make things a lot easier for you, and you will never look back, even if you've been putting it off. And I know a lot of people put it off because there are so many questions to answer. And it's not about demographics and psychographics only. That's a starting point. In this course, you're going to go into much more depth and really get a full picture, a 360, or as we say, 5-dimensional picture. This is beyond the 5th dimension in that movie. Which movie was that? Where it's out in outer space and there's multiple dimensions? Huh?
Is it the Twilight Zone movie? They have lots of dimensions, don't they?
Could be. Okay. Stranger Things, one of those. All right. So if anyone has questions, you've been watching this, you're watching it afterwards. I know a lot of people watch these live streams afterwards to get a sense of what happened and what's going on with this course and get ideas. So add your questions underneath. We'll be on the lookout for them. If you're on our page, you can also message the page, or if you're in one of our customer challenge groups, you can leave a comment there or post any questions. We will always be looking out for them. All right, Sarah and I both. And I hope you grab this, because you're going to get that early bird bonus, and I want to see all your ICPs. I want to see it all cut out and have some fun with it, all right, with pictures on it. And that's it for now. All right, we're all set. Go do your ICPs and let me know how it goes. Take care, everybody. Bye.